Hey friends, this is day 57 of Russian war against Ukraine. In the last 3 days, a few interesting things happened. I wanted to tell you about them and give you some detail you might not get on Western news media channels. Number one, we're going to talk about Putin calling off the offensive on Azovstal, which is this huge plant inside of Mariupol. Number two, we're going to talk about how West's attitude changed in Ukraine from Ukraine must withstand Russian attack to Ukraine can actually win, and what that meant as far as help for Ukraine. Number three, we're going to talk about what's happening with the Russian second wave offensive on eastern Ukraine. So number one, this morning, Ukrainian time, Putin had met with his Minister of Defense, Shoigu, and they were talking about how things are going in the second wave, in the new offensive. And Shoigu was saying, well, we've taken the city already, which is BS, and we are gonna take this plant, which is called Azovstal. Why is Azovstal such a big deal? Is because it's huge. It's like a third by area of all of Mariupol. So if you don't take the plant, Mariupol is not yours. So Shoigu is saying that Mariupol is already ours, so all we have left is this meteorological plant, Azovstal, and we're going to need 3 to 4 days to take it. And Putin is saying, no, don't do that. We don't need to do it. We have completed our task in Azovstal, in Mariupol. We're going to take our troops and move them north to help in Kharkiv, Izum region. What is interesting about that? First of all, a lot of analysts are saying that Putin is talking against the green screen again. You can see sort of in the broadcast that Shoigu's, the minister's face, is sort of being pixelated once in a while. So they're saying that Putin is not letting people close to him. Putin is not using his huge 30-foot table anymore. They're sort of sitting at this short table. If you see Putin, he's sort of grasping the table. His legs are drawn back. You can see he's uncomfortable. He's sort of pale a little bit. You can see that his Minister of Defense, which never happened before, he's wearing civilian clothes. So what's happening there? Well, why are we seeing this weird excerpt from their meeting? Well, first of all, what analysts are saying is that Shoigu, the Minister of Defense, is wearing civilian clothes is because he's signaling that change in attitude of Russians from being militaristic to being more peaceful. That's why that is happening. You see that Putin is not happy with the results, but he's forced to draw back from Azovstal because they're seeing they cannot take it. One thing about Azovstal is that it's like a fortress. It's huge by area. It's got reinforced walls for all the buildings. Some of the walls are like 4 meters long, and 4 meters is like 12 feet long. They are protected against strikes and stuff like that. So it's really impossible to do that. There's catacombs underneath, bomb shelters and everything. So with enough supply of ammunition and food, the battalion that is inside of Azovstal can be there forever and can little by little wear down the Russian army. So that's what they're stepping back. So Putin is not really happy. He's sort of giving this this command to de-escalate tensions, but you can see that this is not why he's doing it. So reason number one is that they cannot take Azovstal. So they understand they will just grind down their army to a nub. So they're pulling back. Another reason is because a few days ago, President Zelensky, in what I at the time considered to be a weird statement, said to Putin, if you destroy our battalion in Azovstal, which is called Azov, the battalion is called Azov, which was created specifically to protect Mariupol. So Zelensky is saying, if you destroy that elite special defense battalion, we're gonna walk out of the peace negotiation process. And 3 days later, what do you know? They're stepping back from Azovstal. So why is Putin being, this warmongering, scary dictator? Why is he not groveling, but is listening and going along with what Zelensky is saying? And the reason is because Russians need peace negotiations more than Ukrainians do, because the Russians are in a stupid situation. I should say Russian war machine is in a stupid situation. They have They have wanted to take the entire Ukraine within a week. They wanted to take Kyiv within 3 days. This is it's soon going to be like month 3 of this war. They understand they cannot take that. They cannot take the whole Ukraine. 3 days ago on Monday, they started to see whether they wanted to take just the eastern part of Ukraine. That's not working, and they have no way back. Their only way back is to negotiate some sort of a deal and try to make it a deal where they come out on top, or they take Mariupol and use that as the wild card, and so as leverage to get what they want. They cannot even do that. So for them, they cannot afford to walk out on peace negotiations, to break negotiations. So that's why Zelensky's ultimatum was so powerful, and that's why Putin had backed down before it. Pretty genius move. I didn't understand why he said that in the beginning, but what do I know? Zelensky's smarter than me. All right, number 2, in the last 2 weeks, we're seeing a change of tone in how West views Ukrainian resistance to Russian forces. In the beginning of the war, we clearly saw that everybody in the West, the United States, NATO, European Union, just braced for a brutal week, and then they would have to deal with Russia, who had by that time taken over Ukraine, and they would support guerrillas in Ukraine and try to push back resistance. In fact, we know from a leaked report of Secretary of Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley reporting to Congress that they believe Ukraine will be taken within a week, and we have to support Ukraine with whatever we can. Which is why the initial military help to Ukraine was very lightweight. Was guerrilla, was either handheld or shoulder-mounted weapons, so that little tactical guerrilla groups can go against Russian columns of tanks and whatnot. So now the tone has changed. Now we see that Secretary Blinken and Stoltenberg from NATO, they are changing the rhetoric from Ukraine must withstand the Russian offensive to Ukraine must win. And this is huge, because this means that the help that Ukraine is getting now is way different. It's not light weaponry anymore. It's offensive weaponry. We're getting long-range howitzers. We're getting not tanks, but weapons that will allow us to push Russians back. So it's clear to say that without Western help, we would not have been able to withstand or push back. But because the world has consolidated that much, the civilized world, because first of all of Boris Johnson in England, and then President Biden, who had approved 800 million of another military package, which would have offensive weapons like battle drones and stuff like that. Because that had happened, Ukraine is able not only to withstand but also push back. So we know. We hear things here and there, because most of these help packages, they're not being announced a lot anymore, and for obvious reasons. But we're seeing that some heavy artillery is already being used in Ukraine that were supplied by the West, so which will give us an opportunity to push them back east and east, push them back in the north until we have restored Ukrainian territorial integrity. So this is awesome. That change in the rhetoric, that change in the minds of Europeans is great. And of course, this was all possible because of Ukrainian armed forces, who proved that not only can they withstand, but that also kick ass in many of the directions. Because as you know, Russia had started with 7 different directions, and is now ending up in like 3. So there's interesting tactic that the Soviet army has been using. This is called the school of Suvorov. Suvorov used to be this Russian general from like 250 years ago. They're called the double claw mechanism, and the double claw strategy was basically that they're trying to enter 2 armies from different sides and then meet those armies. And why is this double? Because they're making 2 circles, one inner circle and one outer circle, just in case the army they're attacking can break through first one, they will stop them at the second one. So this double claw strategy has been used all over the place with Russian warfare. That's what they've been trying to do in eastern Ukraine as well. Of course, it will not work because because right now the Ukrainian intelligence is estimating that there's about 90,000 troops in eastern Ukraine, which is not enough at all, because Ukrainian army by now is about 250,000 of personnel, plus all kinds of machinery. So this is not me saying, but a lot of analysts saying there is no chance, there's like no snowball's chance in hell that Russians are able to take eastern Ukraine, which is great ultimately. But of course, while they're going to be trying, there's going to be a lot of civilians, a lot of our armed forces who are going to be dying. So that's of course the worrying part in this. What is interesting is that there was a leak in American press about Secretary of Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley calling either Shoigu or this another dude, what was his name? Forget. And that's why it's a leak, is because it's unsure, but we're pretty sure that something happened. So Mark Milley called one of these ministers and said, in case you're thinking about using nuclear weapons, we have new types of rockets, low energy tactical rockets, who have high penetration potential, that if you guys use tactical nuclear weapons on Ukraine or anywhere in the NATO, we're going to deploy our tactical missiles to go right where Putin will be. And he said, we know, we're tracking where he is, whether he's in his bunker or he's on the way somewhere, he's in a meeting somewhere. We know exactly where he's at any point, and we will strike where he will be. So the repercussions is not going to be for Russia at large, but for him personally. So, but I'll take it. I'll give it to you just as I took it. This is a leak, and I think that this was done on purpose and same thing, as you remember, Premier Johnson said 3 days ago that if Russia is using weapons of mass destruction, either chemical weapons or nuclear weapons, Great Britain will choose their own response without consulting other NATO countries. So we're seeing that the West is calling Putin's bluff. If in the beginning the conversation was we do not under any circumstances want to go into standoff with Russia, we do not want a third world war, we do not want a nuclear standoff. Now the conversation is different. Now the West has called Putin's bluff, and they're saying, in case you decide to use this, we know where you are, and we will hit you right where we are. This is awesome. I love it. It's badass, and it's just what Ukraine needs. Thank you, Great Britain, and thank you, United States. This is awesome. This gives me a lot of hope. And then finally, what's happening with the offensive, with the much anticipated second wave of Russian offensive? And the answer is, apart from 2 small villages, they had not been able to go anywhere. Yesterday, they attacked 10 different times. All of their attacks were repelled. Yesterday, about 20 pieces of aviation were taken out, and today I think it was 14 or 18. Of course, there's only a couple of jets, a lot of drones, and a couple of helicopters, and a few helicopters. So little by little, as you can see, Ukrainian forces are grinding down Russian army, which makes them nervous. And of course, that they have that sacred date, May 9th, which is the victory day in the Second World War, which has become a religion, like a true religion in Russia. And for dictatorial regimes, for them, the mythology they build around themselves is very, very important. Because because they claim their power not in the election of the people, not in the legitimacy of their government, but by how strong they are, by how successful they are in battles overseas and stuff like that. So if that crumbles, Putin's legitimacy is going to go out the window. So that's why they're so worried about it. That's why they're making nervous moves. That's why you see, and I encourage you to see that stream. That's why you see Putin all sort of hunched in, and he's grasping the table, and he's being very comfortable. He has a high voice as it is, but in this interview it was even higher. I'm not sure. And not to mention that most likely he was against the green screen, and he doesn't want to see his ministers, or he's afraid they're going to stage a coup d'etat against him. So that's what's going on, friends. Seriously, a lot of things that are happening, especially in consolidation of the West, has been very encouraging to me and to a lot of Ukrainians. I'm watching all of these channels. I'm watching the former Soviet spies who are talking about it, who know a little bit more information about it. This is very encouraging, and I thank you for your support. And we're living through some historical moments right now, and this is something that we will be telling our children and grandchildren when it's time. And everything you're doing for us is not going to be forgotten. We're very grateful, and not like in World War II, the world consolidated within a few weeks, and we're kicking Russia's ass, and makes me believe in the civilized world again. Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing my stuff, and I'm glad you're finding it helpful. Bye-bye.